Hello, everyone. Happy Bloomsday. On behalf of the IRL Festival, we want to welcome everyone to our virtual Bloomsday celebration. In case you don't know what Bloomsday is, it's a day that is highly celebrated in Dublin and around the world on this day every year, and is a celebration of the Irish writer James Joyce. On the 16th of June, the day Joyce's 1922 novel Ulysses takes place in 1904, the date of his first outing with his wife-to-be Nora Barnacle, and named after the main character Leopold Bloom. And now we'd like you to enjoy this short video of Bloomsday in Dublin, and then the IRL Festival Committee member, Kathleen, will take it away for our live event.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Kathleen Sheehy, a board member with the Irish Real Life Festival, and we're very happy to be bringing you some brief excerpts from the massive doorstop known as Ulysses by James Joyce. No doubt the most beautifully written doorstop in the English language. I call it doorstop because it is a substantial tome, and maybe there are some people out there who have actually read it. I confess I am not among that esteemed group of readers. But that's okay. If you aren't, you are going to get a taste of it tonight. So what we're going to do is I'll introduce everybody so you know who's playing whom. First of all, we'll start out with Michael Peng, homegrown Kitchener-Waterloo actor now based in Edmonton. He will be reading the role of Leopold Bloom. And my fellow board members will be reading the other parts. Deirdre Nally as the Cat and Bob Doran, Joe Yee as Davy Byrne, and Margaret Bonner as Nosy Flynn. So let's just jump right in. But we're not going to jump into the beginning. We're going to skip right over part 1. So we can meet our hero, Leopold Bloom, in part 2, episode 4, Calypso. So all of these bits are in episodes, and in between we'll be interspersing some musical interludes just to break things up and get us more in the mood. Feel free, by the way, at some point to go pour yourself a pint. We'll be toasting Mr. Joyce at the end of our presentation. Okay, now I have borrowed heavily from an excellent GQ article entitled, "We Read James Joyce's Ulysses, So You Don't Have to." Here's GQ's summary of this episode. Mr. Leopold Bloom takes center stage, a middle-aged Jewish man whose wife is doing the dirty. We like Leopold. He makes breakfast and feeds the cat. Out shopping, Leopold has a good old daydream about travel, mainly, bumps into an acquaintance, and discusses the upcoming funeral of a guy called Dignam. Back home we go. We briefly meet Molly Bloom, Leopold's unfaithful wife. Molly is enjoying a lie-in while Leopold brings her breakfast in bed. Cream isn't the only thing whipped in the Bloom household. Somewhat tragically, Leopold knows Molly is screwing her concert manager, Blazes Boylan. He just accepts it. What can he do? Nobody wants to fight a guy called Blazes. To take his mind off Molly's infidelity, Leopold goes to the toilet. We'll skip that part. And now, breakfast in the Bloom household. Mr. Leopold Bloom ate with relish the inner organs of beasts and fowls. He liked thick giblet soup, nutty gizzards, a stuffed roast heart, liver slices fried with crust crumbs, fried hencods rose. Most of all, he liked grilled mutton kidneys, which gave to his palate a fine tang of faintly scented urine. Kidneys were in his mind as he moved about the kitchen softly, writing her breakfast things on the humpy tray. Gelid light and air were in the kitchen, but out of doors, gentle summer morning everywhere. Made him feel a bit peckish. The coals were reddening. Mr. Bloom, you need to unmute.
Right. Thanks very much. Another slice of bread and butter. 3, 4. Right. She didn't like her plate full. Right.
He turned from the tray, lifted the kettle off the hob, and set it sideways on the fire. It sat there, dull and squat, its spout stuck out.
Cup of tea soon. Good. Mouth dry.
The cat walked stiffly round a leg of the table with tail on high. Meow.
Oh, there you are.
Mr. Bloom said, turning from the fire. The cat mewed in answer and stalked again stiffly round the leg of the table, mewing, meow.
Just how she stalks over my writing table. Scratch my head.
Mr. Bloom watched curiously, kindly, the lithe black form. Clean to see, the gloss of her sleek hide, the white button under the butt of her tail, the green flashing eyes. He bent down to her, his hands on his knees.
Milk for pussins?
Meow.
They call them stupid. They understand what we say better than we understand them. She understands all she wants to. Vindictive, too. Cruel. Her nature. Curious mice never squeal. Seem to like it. Wonder what I look like to her. Height of a tower? No, she can jump me. Afraid of the chickens? She is.
He said mockingly.
Afraid of the chooks. I never saw such a stupid pussins as the pussins.
The cat said loudly. She blinked up out of her avid, shame-closing eyes, mewing plaintively and long, showing him her milk-white teeth. He watched the dark eye slits narrowing with greed till her eyes were green stones. Then he went to the dresser, took the jug Hanlon's milkman had just filled for him, poured warm bubbled milk on a saucer, and set it slowly on the floor. Meow, she cried, running to lap. He watched the bristles shining wirily in the weak light as she tipped 3 times and licked lightly.
Wonder, is it true if you clip them, they can't mouse after? Why? Why they shine in the dark? Perhaps the tips. Or kind of feelers in the dark, perhaps.
On quietly creaky boots, he went up the staircase to the hall, paused by the bedroom door.
She might like something tasty. The bread and butter she likes in the morning. Still, perhaps. Once in a way.
He said softly in the bare hall.
I'm going around the corner. Be back in a minute.
And when he had heard his voice say it, he added,
You don't want anything for breakfast?
A sleepy, soft grunt answered.
No, she didn't want anything.
He heard then a warm, heavy sigh, softer, as she turned over and the loose brass quoits of the bedstead jingled.
Dear dark days beyond recall, when on the earth The mist began to fall out of the dreams that rose in happy throng. Lo, to our hearts love sang an old sweet song. And in the dusk, where fell the firelight gleam, softly it wove itself into our dream. Just a song at twilight, when the lights are low and the flickering shadows softly come and go. Though the heart be weary, sad the day and long, still to us at twilight comes love's old song, comes love's old sweet song. Even today we hear love sung of yore. Deep in our hearts it dwells forevermore. Footsteps may falter, weary grows our way, still we can hear it at the close of day. So till the end, when life's dim shadows fall, love will be found the sweetest song. Just a song at twilight, when the lights are low and the flickering shadows softly come and go. Though the heart be weary, sad the day and long, still to us at twilight comes love's old song, comes love's old sweet song.
And that brings us to episodes 6 and 12, Hades and Cyclops, in which we attend the funeral of Paddy Dignam and encounter a few of his friends after. Again, we turn to GQ for a quick synopsis of episode 6. Bloom attends the funeral of Dignam, the dead guy briefly mentioned in episode 3. He travels to the church by carriage. His 3 companions include a certain Simon Dedalus, father of Stephen. This episode is largely a 4-way conversation interspersed with Leopold's inner thoughts. Naturally, Joyce thinks himself above quotation marks. A new speaker is marked by a hyphen. But if this affectation troubles you, then you're reading the wrong book. Sample quote from episode 6. That Mulligan is a contaminated, bloody, double-dyed ruffian by all accounts. Moving on to episode 12. We meet Alf, played by Mike, Joe, played by myself, and Bob Doran, played by Deirdre. How's Willie Mario's times, Alf?
I don't know. I saw him just now in Capel Street with Paddy Dignam. Only I was running after that.
Yeah, what? With who?
With Dignam.
Is it Paddy?
Why? Yes.
But you know he's dead.
Paddy Dignam dead.
Aye.
Sure, I'm after seeing him not 5 minutes ago, as plain as a pikestaff.
Who's dead?
You saw his ghost then? God, between us and harm.
What? Good Christ, only 5. What? And Willie Murray with him. The two of them. They're near whatchamacallums. What? Dignam dead?
What about Dignam? Who's talking about?
Dead! He's no more dead than you are.
Maybe so. They took the liberty of burying him this morning anyhow.
Paddy?
Aye. He paid the debt of nature. God be merciful to him.
Good Christ.
Bob, he was what you might call flabbergasted.
Oh, I wish I was on yonder hill. It's there I sit and cry my fill, and every tear would turn a mill. It's the shade of morning sun. Shoo, 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 sugar, sugar, rocket, sugar, cue. Sugar, there is a gazillion. Stitching to my veins long. I'll dye my petticoats, I'll dye them red, and round the world I'll beg my bread until my parents wish me dead. Stitching to my long. Shoo, 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 sugar, sugar, rocket, sugar, cue. Sugar, there is a gazillion. Stitching to my burning slum. I've sold my flax and I've sold my wheel to buy my lover's sword of steel. So wait in battle he might wield, for my Johnny's gone for a soldier. With their drums and guns and guns and drums, hurroo, hurroo. With their drums and guns and guns and drums, hurroo, hurroo. With their drums and guns and guns and drums, the enemy nearly slew ya. Oh, my darling dear, you look so queer. Honey, I hardly knew ya.
That brings us to episode 7, Aeolus. Now, pay attention, audience, because we need your help. This takes place in a newspaper office, and it's broken up into sections with headlines, one of which is K.M.A. Any guesses as to what that means? Feel free to put them in the chat. How about K.M.R.I.A.? Hold your guesses. We'll find out in this brief excerpt. And take it away, folks.
Will you tell him he can kiss my arse? Miles Crawford said, throwing out his arm for emphasis. Tell him that, straight from the stables.
A bit nervy. Look out for squalls. All off for a drink, arm in arm. Lenihan's yachting cap on the cadge beyond. Usual blarney.
Wonder is that young Daedalus the moving spirit? Has a good pair of boots on him today. Last time I saw him, he had his heels on view. Been walking in muck somewhere. Careless chap. What was he doing in Irish Town?
Well, Mr. Broom said his eyes were turning. If I can get the design, I suppose it's worth a short par. He'll give the other thing. I'll tell him.
He can kiss my Royal Irish arse, Miles Crawford cried loudly over his shoulder. Anytime he likes. Tell him.
And we actually had a guest submitted by an audience member who got it right. Kiss my Royal Irish arse. And now, take it away with another musical interlude.
Looking very charming, you are sure to meet those girls, dear girls, those lovely seaside girls. With sticks they steer and promenade the pier to give the boys a treat. In piqué silks and lace, they tip you quite a playful wink. It always is the case. You seldom stop to think. You fall in love, of course, upon the spot, but not with one girl, always with the lot. Those girls, those lovely seaside girls, all dimples, smiles and curls. Your head it simply whirls. They look all right, complexions pink and white, diamond rings and dainty feet, golden hair from Regent Street, lace and waist and lots of face, those pretty little seaside girls. There's Maude, Clara, Gwendolyn and Sarah, where do they come from? Those girls, dear girls, those lovely seaside girls. In bloom are smart, they captivate the heart while cycling down the prom. At wheels and heels and hose, you must not look misunderstood, but every Johnny knows it does your eyesight good. The boys observe the latest thing in socks. They learn the time by looking at the clocks. Those girls, those lovely seaside girls, all dimples, smiles and curls. Your head it simply whirls. They look all right, complexions pink and white, diamond rings and dainty feet, golden hair from Regent Street, lace and waist and lots of face, those pretty little seaside girls. When you go to do a little boating, just for fun you take those girls, dear girls, those lovely seaside girls. They all say we so dearly love the sea. They're way on board to make the wind begins to blow. Each girl remarks, how rough today, it's lovely, don't you know? And then they sneak away. And as the yacht starts rolling with the tide, you'll notice hanging o'er the vessel's side those girls, those lovely seaside girls, all dimples, smiles and curls. Each red-headed sickly worlds. They look a sight, complexions green and white, hats fly off and at your feet, golden hair from Regent Street, rouge and puff slips down the cuffs of pretty little seaside girls. Rouge and puffs slips down the cuffs of pretty little seaside girls.
And now we jump into episode 8, which is titled Lestrygonians. We begin with a quick quiz. What is the definition of Lestrygonian? And feel free to answer in the chat. Is it A, a wingless bird with hairy feathers? B, a member of a tribe of man-eating giants? Or C, an inhabitant of Lestragon, a province in New South Wales? I see one of our fans has said it is B, a member of a tribe of man-eating giants, and that is correct. Now, according to GQ, this episode drags. It's lunchtime and Bloom is hungry. He fantasizes about food and mopes over Molly and eventually has a cheese sandwich. But not just any cheese sandwich, as we will discover. His chosen pub, Davy Burns, remains open to this day. Let's drop in on him there.
Get a light snack in Davy Burns. Stopgap, keep me going. Had a good breakfast. Roast and mashed here. Pint of stout. Every fella for his own, tooth and nail. Gulp, grub, gulp, gob stuff.
He came out into clearer air and turned back towards Grafton Street. Eat or be eaten, kill, kill.
I'm hungry.
He entered Davy Burns.
Moral pub. He doesn't chat. Stands a drink now and then. But in leap year, once in 4. Cast a check for me once. What will I take now?
He drew his watch.
Let me see now. Shandygaff?
Hello, Bloom.
Nosy Flynn said from his nook.
Hello, Flynn.
How's things?
Tip-top. Let me see. I'll take a glass of Burgundy and let me see. Have you a cheese sandwich?
Yes, sir.
Like a few olives, too, if they had them. Italian, I prefer. Good glass of Burgundy, take away that. Lubricate. A nice salad, cool as a cucumber. Tom Kiernan can dress. Puts gusto into it. Pure olive oil. Millie served me that cutlet with a sprig of parsley. Take 1 Spanish onion. God made food, the devil the cooks. Deviled crab.
Wife well?
Quite well, thanks. A cheese sandwich then. Gorgonzola, have you?
Yes, sir.
Nosy Flynn sipped his grog.
Doing any singing those times?
Look at his mouth. Could whistle in his own ear. Flap ears to match. Music. Knows about as much as my coachman. Still, better tell him. Does no harm. Free ad. She's engaged for a big tour end of this month. You may have heard, perhaps.
No. Oh, that's the style. Who's getting it up?
Getting it up? Well, it's like a company idea, you see. part shares and part profits.
Aye, now I remember. Who is this was telling me? Isn't Blazes Boylan mixed up in it?
A warm shock of air, heat of mustard hanched on Mr. Bloom's heart. He raised his eyes and met the stare of a bilious clock. 2. Pub clock 5 minutes fast. Time going on, hands moving. 2. Not yet. His midriff yearned then upward, sank within him, yearned more longingly.
Wine.
He smell-sipped the cordial juice, and, bidding his throat strongly to speed it, set his wine glass delicately down.
Yes. He's the organizer in point of fact.
And now, here's a crowd having way more fun in a pub than Leopold.
In the merry month of June, from me home I started, left the girls a tune, nearly broken hearted, saluted father dear, kissed me darling mother, drank a pint of beer, my grief and tears to smother, then off to reap the corn and leave where I was born, and got just out by thorn to banish ghosts and goblin in a new pair of brogues, rattling o'er the bogs and frightening all the dogs on the rocky road to Dublin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up the hare and turn her down the rocky road, and all the way to Dublin, whack full all they ride. In Mullingar that night I rested limbs so weary, started by daylight, like corn and light and airy, Duncan got the pure to keep me heart from sinking down the paddy's dear, when airy done for drinking.
See the lassie smile, laughing all the while, my curious thoughts would set your heart. Oh, they asked if I was hard, the wages I required till I was almost tired of the rocky road to Dublin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road, and all the way to Dublin, whack full all they ride. In Dublin next arrived, and whack full all they ride, to be so soon deprived. But then I took the stroll, whack full all they ride, bundle it was stolen.
Hey, something crossed me mind, then I looked behind, no bundle could I find upon my stick. A woman inquiring for the road, they said Bucolic Road wasn't much in vogue on the rocky road to Dublin.
1, 2, 3, 5, hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road, and all the way to Dublin, whack full all they ride.
From there I got away, spirits never fail, and landed on the pages as the show. The sailing captain at me wrote exact as always handy when I jumped aboard the cab and drank her paddy. Down among the pigs, I played some funny rigs, and some hearty jigs. The water ran me bubbling where a folly head. I wished myself was dead, I went along instead on the rocky road to Dublin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road, and all the way to Dublin, whack full all they ride. The boys of Liverpool, when we safely landed, called myself a fool. I could no longer stand it, blood began to boil. Temper I was losing, poor old Erin's eye. They began abusing her around. So as I should lady, I the price of gold, and boys were mine, so I was a hobbling with a loud hooray, joining the affray, quickly cleared the way for the rocky road to Dublin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road, and all the way to Dublin, whack full all they ride. Hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road, and all the way to Dublin, whack full all they ride.
whack full all they ride, whack full all they ride.
Well, I hope somebody buys all those lads a drink. And thanks, Barbara, for your kind words. We're getting some notes in here from the audience, so appreciate that. Sláinte to you as well. And now bringing our brief foray into Ulysses to a close, we have a word from episode 17 titled Ithaca. This episode is written in the form of a Catholic catechism with a question and then an answer. So we'll send you off with this Q&A. What spectacle confronted them when they, first the host, then the guest, emerged silently, doubly dark, from obscurity by a passage from the rear of the house into the penumbra of the garden.
The heaven tree of stars hung with humid night blue fruit.
Of all the money that e'er I had, I spend it in good company. And of all the harm that e'er I done, alas, it was to none but me. For all I done, for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fell to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I had, they're sorry for my going away. And of all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But as it falls unto my lot that I must go and you must not, I'll gently rise and I'll softly call. Good night and joy be with you all.
So everyone, raise a pint with me and a toast for our native son, James Joyce, and his ponderous tome, Ulysses. To Mr. Joyce.
Mr. Joyce. Happy Bloomsday, everyone.
Now there's more fun with the Irish Real Life Festival. You don't have to wait until next March. You can still join the Ring of Kerry Challenge. You can find out about all of these things on our Facebook page.
Best county in Ireland.
Margaret's a little prejudiced. That's the county she's from, County Kerry. So if you like to walk, bicycle, just move, then the Ring of Kerry Challenge is a fun way to mark your progress with the steps and the miles that you log every single day. And we also will be celebrating the summer solstice on June 21st. So stay tuned on our website and on our Facebook page for more information about that. And again, thank you, everyone. Sláinte and happy Bloomsday.
Sláinte.
Sláinte wa.